Happy Thursday, everyone. This is the Gangsta Goddess, Zuri Rekka. I am hoping that everyone is having a really good Thursday morning or afternoon for some of you. I am on the West Coast. Well, it just turned 12, so afternoon. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing something different. This video is not about the allegations or the lawsuit against Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish. It's more of me just discussing spirituality and religion, something that I really haven't done on this channel. I have another channel where I talk more about personal things, but because this is like a celebrity, I'm going to put this on this channel, and I'm going to use it as a platform to talk about some of my beliefs with spirituality and religion. And after we listen to this video with this interview with Aries Spears, which is was on Fox Soul, and it's from 2 years ago. We'll listen to this, then I'll probably stop and give some commentary in between takes, and at the end I'll just give my take on everything on spirituality and religion and my journey.
I've always said I've always been in a struggle with religion and God, because I know that there are more of them out there, but I think I'm this close, if I'm not already there, to being a black atheist. I don't know that I believe in God.
There's a black atheist. There's a lot of them.
I haven't completely crossed over, but I'm like Anakin Skywalker. I'm so close to the dark side that I'm starting to feel like my faith in religion and humanity.
Well, he said he's close to the dark side. Okay, I'm gonna throw a little shade. Yeah, we can tell you're very close to the dark side. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say is that.
Humanity, and what this all is supposed to mean is a bunch of bullshit.
Really?
Yeah.
Faith and humanity.
Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense to me, because I hear, and listen, I know for a comic, one of the most challenging things to do is to try to do material that's deemed taboo and risque. And one of the biggest challenges that I want to take on is to be able to go in front of a black audience and say, I don't believe in God, which is blasphemous. Because we in the black community, like Richard Pryor said, black people, we tight with God.
Yeah.
That's
our boy.
And I just don't understand how we as a people historically put so much faith into this thing called God, but yet for 400 years we were in chains. For 400 years we prayed. For 400 years, black people have a saying in church where we go, the pastor comes out and he goes, God is good, ain't he? And we say all the time. All the time.
God
is good all the time. Amen.
Good.
All the time. 400 years, all the time. The 60s, all the time. The 4 black girls that died in the church bombing in Alabama, all the time. The 9 black people shot by Dylan Roof in church, praising God. You would think if the one place you are safe, a safety zone, is in his house, and if God and the angels can't protect you in his house.
He said that in his house. First of all, if he ever read a Bible, which I'm not sure he ever did in his entire life, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but if he knows anything about Jesus Christ said in the Bible that the kingdom of God is inside of you and all around you. Not in a building, not in stone, not just there. It's in you. It's in all around you. God is omnipresent, meaning everywhere, which we will get to in a minute. So in a church, God is not just in a church. I don't even think Jesus spent a lot of time in churches, to be honest with you. I think he was outside, from what we know. None of us were there. But from the stories about him, he was outside doing like street ministry and evangelism. So
all the time? Give me some of the time.
Okay.
But not all the time.
God is good some of the time.
And I don't know whether God is black or white, but here's my thinking. Let's just say, okay.
God is not black or white. God is not a male or a female, from my understanding. But we'll get to that later, like I said. But I just wanted to throw that out there. God is not some white man in the sky staring down at you. I don't know where people get this idea from.
God is black.
God is this
and people,
man,
slaves were praying and, oh my Lord, 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 Lord. Freedom gonna come one day. Freedom is inevitable. We weren't gonna stay slaves forever. So you mean to tell me 400 years later, finally being free, now we want to go, he might not come when you call, but he's always on time. If 400 years is on time, that's tardiness. So if God is real, he's a nigga because he's late. And
I always make that joke about Jesus. Like, where is he? He must be black because it feels like he's late. So, yeah.
if God is white, you putting all your praise into this white God who clearly didn't give a fuck about you either. So which is he? Is he black? Is he white? If he's black, why wouldn't you look out for your own people? If he's white, now you showing love to this figure who kept you locked up.
Well,
None
his
of that makes
ideas of
sense to
God
me.
are so small. Wow.
And you say you haven't totally crossed over?
Because I look at things. I look at things like when I travel, and I've been all over the world, and I look at certain places, and I look at the beauty of certain things in terms of the earth, and just animal and nature, and I go, it's got to be a God.
Right.
When I'm, and certainly when I'm in some pussy, I go, there's got to be a God. This feels so good. But then I pick up a newspaper and I read how a 4-year-old girl gets kidnapped, raped, and murdered. Now I know they say God gives man free will. If God gives man free will, okay, I get that. But like the mafia, women and kids should be off limits.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want free will, but I need, But actually you can, because isn't that what guardian angels are for? But Aries is missing a lot of things. And a lot of what I'm going to say after this might upset some people because it's not the standard ideas of what we have about religion and life. And I'm not going to pretend that I know it all. I'm just going to tell you about my journey.
It's nothing more terrible. I have 3 kids. My youngest daughter is 5.
Oh, yes,
Love her to death. I couldn't imagine what it must be like for a child to feel the terror of
If he has kids, why didn't he put his kids in that skit? Because he had... Just saying.
losing my life. Where's my mother and father?
Yeah.
Someone help me. And if God can't step in at that moment and go, look, I know I give man free will, but this is a kid. All bets is off.
We do see miracles happen all the time. Just saying. Miraculous things happen all of the time that are just inexplicable. So
I don't, that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Too much of what goes on in this life does not make sense to me. I don't know if I'm overthinking it. I don't know that because I'm getting older, I start questioning my own mortality. When you're young, you're arrogant.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna live forever. You think you're gonna look like a movie star forever.
Yeah.
Your shit don't stink. You the baddest and the best in the world. But the older you get, and your back starts hurting, and you making noise when you get out of bed, and what's this pain on my knee? And you start questioning your mortality, and you realize through being humble, shit is weird. It's just weird, man.
Yeah. Speaking of being young, you started.
all right, I think that was the end of that discussion, and now they are just going to discuss some career things. I don't know if that's a good place where I want to leave it. Let's see if we can get a shot of both of them together to leave this as a screen. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, let me plug my mic in so that... Okay, so I'm going to first of all start by telling you about myself. And hopefully it's not too long-winded, but I grew up... Well, when I was born, or when I was really young, we were actually Jehovah's Witness, my family. And I think around the time that I was maybe 5 or something, my mom just switched over to like a non-denominational Christianity maybe. And I do have memories of being in the Kingdom Hall and all of that, and it was just really weird and quiet. So I was raised in a religion, raised in the church, went to church almost every single day when I was growing up. Went to church every Sunday. Couldn't watch certain things. Couldn't even watch the Smurfs because my mom said it was witchcraft. Couldn't watch He-Man and She-Ra, all things that people my age were watching. I lived a very sheltered life in some ways, even though I was exposed to a lot of things that I shouldn't have seen as a young child. It's a really weird juxtaposition. But that was my upbringing. So I grew up in religion, and I was extremely religious when I was younger. As a teenager, I was dedicated, saved. I've been baptized twice. I did it when I was like 11 or 12, and then I did it again as an adult. I was around 19. or 20 or somewhere around that age. And I just went to and did all of that. Went through a rebellious time as I got older. Um, like a lot of Christians do when you become like your mid-teens, you start being rebellious and start drinking and doing all this thing and put less in the church. But it's always been a struggle for me. Some of the things that he is saying, I can completely relate to. Those are questions that I asked myself all of the time. I would ask my mother all of the time some of the questions like why is this? Why are people suffering? Why if God is real, why is life so hard? Why is everything like this? Why would God set us up for failure and put us in a garden to eat some fruit, knowing what the outcome would be because he's all-knowing, right? Omnipotent. So I always wondered the same things that he's questioning, that a lot of people wonder. And what happened, I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit. I did get seriously into religion when I was like 19 or 20, right when the Y2K was happening, right? So around that time, I like dedicated my life to God and was strictly religious. And that's when I started learning more about these different secret societies and all this stuff. And I learned about just all the conspiracies and things, and learned about ancient Babylon, and learned about how all of that is connected in our society and culture today. So that really made me like, no, okay, like this is real, because where is all this evil coming from? If because I struggled like him too. Sometimes I wanted to be an atheist, and I was like, I don't believe in this. This can't be real. But I did have some miracles happen in my life. I remember one time I did go on a fast once for about 3 weeks, where I only had like juice and water, but I didn't eat any food at all. I might have had coffee. And when I went through that, I had a lot of weird things happen to me. It was just really strange. I had a lot of, I don't even have enough time to go into it all, but there was all these weird things that just didn't happen before the fast. It's almost kind of like when Jesus went into the wilderness with the temptation and all of that. I was going through all these temptations and all these things, and it was just weird. I remember one time I was laying on my bed and I had really bad menstrual cramps, and it was so horrible. And they've always been really bad for me. When I felt like committing, taking my life when I was younger because of the pain. It was so horrible. And this is before I knew the ibuprofen worked. I would take Tylenol, and I remember one time I took like 14 of them, and I was still in pain. So one time I was just laying on my bed, and I didn't take anything for the pain. I was just in pain, and I was like hurting so bad. And I prayed to God, like, please take this pain away from me, like praying. And the pain like disappeared, like out of the blue, like gone. It was so weird. It was completely gone. And that was one of the most miraculous things that ever happened. And that made me believe in God, just because how did it just happen if God isn't real? I remember one time, even in my room, this is when I was strictly religious. And some people might be like, oh, you were hallucinating. Who knows? Maybe. I don't think I was. But I remember telling Jesus, like, I want to see you. I was so into religion. I don't even know anyone. I wouldn't even wear weaves because I thought that was deception, and makeup and stuff. I thought that was like lying to people. And I got to a point where I wasn't sure if I wanted to wear pants anymore. I was just like wearing dresses all the time, and I didn't care. I covered the mirrors in my house because I didn't want to be vain. It was just really crazy how deep I got into this. And one day I was like, Jesus, I want to see you. And then I just started hearing this noise in my bathroom, and it freaked me out because I wasn't expecting that. And it just went away after that. I didn't hear it because I was like, I don't want to. I was like, I'm not ready yet. I like chickened out. And I never heard that noise before, and I never heard it after. So I just heard this noise. And I've had a lot of other paranormal things that's happened to me in my life, which I can probably talk about in another video if people are interested in hearing some of the things that I've experienced in my life. But in regards to the spiritual journey, I think just fast forwarding things, I kind of just lived this life where I just got more into spirituality more somehow. I discovered that. I think Iyanla Vanzant probably played a part in that because I read her book, The Value in the Valley, and I just started getting more into spiritual versus religion because it just didn't feel like a fit for me. It didn't feel right to me. I didn't understand it, and I felt like a lot of it was contradictory. And I feel like a lot of it was just made up stuff from men, and it was just rules and laws that whoever was in charge at the time put into place, and they made it seem like it was just God's word. So I kind of strayed away from that, but I always held on to kind of a spirituality. And the search has always been there. I've always searched. I would smoke some green and just start searching about everything, the meaning of life, the purpose of life. I've always wanted to know, why are we here? What are we doing here? Like, I really wanted to discover. I really wanted to know. It became an obsession. And things really went into overdrive fast forward years later. When I moved to Portland, Oregon, I hung out with this young man, and his name was Lee. And he ended up passing away. I hung out with him for 4 months, and he was like one of the few friends that I had here when I first moved here. So it was really devastating to me when he passed away. He ended up drowning in the river after he did some LSD, which he wasn't used to doing at the time. He was kind of peer pressured into it. And he was just an amazing person. I should do a video about him. I think I have spoke about him before, but he was just great. And after he passed away, I went into a deep depression because I felt guilty because he was trying to hang with me that day. And I felt bad that I wasn't there for him. And I also just felt, I can't explain this emptiness. It wasn't the first time I've dealt with loss. Like, I lost my mother as a teenager. And I have lost other people in my life, and I lost my grandparents, but I guess it's because he was so young and it was so sudden. And everyone that passed away, like my mom had cancer, and my grandparents were like old, so it was expected. But him, it was just like he was there one day and the next he was gone. And I had never experienced that in my life, really, with anyone close to me. And it drove me into a deep depression. I remember I wasn't drinking at the time, not hard liquor, but I remember at the time when he passed away that I got like a half pint of like black velvet. I remember drinking it, and I remember the next day, I think I was like convulsing because my body wasn't used to drinking hard liquor, and it was crazy. And this is getting intense for me. I gotta have my cigarette. Hey, don't judge me. I'm trying to quit smoking. So it was really intense for me. At least I'm not drinking this time. For all the people that watched my drunk videos, I don't want to be drunk for this, and it's too early anyway. Taking a break from that, but back to the subject at hand. I have ADHD, guys. I'm sorry. I digress a lot. Please forgive me. It is not easy for me to talk about my friend passed, because it's still hard, even though oh my God, it's almost been 7 years now. It still feels like it was yesterday sometimes. And after that happened to him, I just went into a really deep depression. It was just really sad for me. It was really hard. He was like one of the few people I had to talk to, and just the whole thing just messed me up. So I just went on this search. I started having a lot of synchronicities. Anybody that have synchronicities, you know what that's like, where you have all these coincidences just keep happening. I remember I was on the phone talking to one of my friends about I was going to tell him that I was thinking about moving to Corvallis, and I just looked out the window and I saw a sign that said Corvallis. And I thought that was weird. I'm like, what are the odds of that? It's not like something you see. So I just had all these weird things happening to me. And I found out that those things were called synchronicities. And this guy was talking to me about it some more. And I remember learning more. I wanted to know more about it. And I just got this book called The Synchronicity Key by David Wilcock. He is on the show Ancient Aliens a lot. And he's an author. And he's really into like metaphysical. So... and spirituality. So I read his book, and reading his book led me to another book called Journey of Souls by a man named Dr. Michael Newton. And he was like a psychologist, and he accidentally had a experience where he reverted to a patient to the spiritual world. And reading that book, he just talked, after he learned that he can do that, he just started, it was like hypnosis. And he wasn't trying to do this, but it was like an accident. And if you want to read that book, I recommend you read it. It's such a good book, especially if you're dealing with grief. That book was so comforting, and it was like, I just can't imagine where I would have been without it. It's available online PDF file for free, so you can check that. You don't even have to buy it. So I'll try to put a link for that in the description if I can remember. So yeah, I read this book, and he talks about he hypnotizes patients. He starts doing like all these case studies with different patients, and he's reverting them to the spirit world and having them revert them to like past lives and all this and that, and just explaining why things are the way they are. The questions that I had, the questions that Aries has, some of them, and it helped me to understand life a lot better. Because I'm like, why did this happen to my friend? Like, he was such a good person. He was so nice. I never heard him say anything bad about anyone. And I just couldn't understand, like, how could something like that happen to him out of all people? But the book just kind of explained things more. It explained why things are the way they are. And I'm going to explain God. And it wasn't just that book I read. I read another book by Dolores Cannon. Check that out. It was like the lives between, no, it wasn't. It was like The Soul Journey or something like that. No, that wasn't A Soul Journey. That was the other book. I can't remember, but it was something along the lines of that. I'll try to put it in the description when I find out what it was. That, and I read another book by, I think, Dr. Wise. I know Oprah interviewed him before, and all these books were just talking about reincarnation and talking about the spiritual journey and life. And there's another good book called The Law of One. The Synchronicity Key led me to that book too. I didn't read the whole book, but it's some people that were channeling, and they channel a spirit called Ra, which is actually called the Societal Memory Complex, which you have to do more reading to find out exactly what all of this means, because it's a lot. It's very complicated. It's not really easy to just explain to someone. You kind of have to just read. And I'm not saying that this is all true, but I think I just kind of took all the information from all the different things, even some aspects of Buddhism and Christianity and religion and not religion, Hinduism, and all of these different things. I kind of formed my own conclusions and my own beliefs for now, because they always change. Even back then when I read that book, my beliefs have changed from then to now. So in the book, it just discusses why we're here, and it's just like a journey. And you how do you explain this? I want to talk about specifically what he's talking about. A lot of times in life, when you see people suffering, this is what I learned about suffering. When you see people going through bad things and stuff happening to people, like, why doesn't God step in and help them? And the reason why, from what I've learned, is because a lot of things, some things are related to karma. Like, say if you kill someone, this person goes out and he does something to this child, what Aries was talking about, then his karma would probably be in the light to go through something similar, to see what that is like to do that to that person. And the only way to break the cycle of karma, I think, is forgiveness, which is what Jesus Christ was constantly preaching about, was forgiveness and love one another and love your neighbor as yourself. And there's a reason for that. And the reason why is because we are all separated. Okay. We are all separated. I think this is hard for a lot of people to understand, and it's really deep. And it's really, a lot of people won't take it and understand it or believe it, because it's just hard, but for people to get. But we are only separated through our egos. That is what enables us to have different experiences and different personalities and but we are all aspects of God. We are like fractals of God. In the beginning, when I was learning about this, I would explain it like God is a big cookie and we are like crumbs or the cookie. Or I would say that God is an ocean and we are the waves, or just things like that, to try to explain to people. So we are not outside of God. We are a part of God. So when he's saying that God isn't helping us or doing stuff for us, because God is a part of us. Does that make sense? So that is why. And it's like, you have to kind of go on this journey yourself. It's kind of a thing that people just have to be ready for, your soul has to be ready for. When it's ready, you will know, and you will find out the answers that you are seeking. Just like the Bible says, knock and a door will be open for you, seek and you shall find. And in my research, what I've learned about Jesus Christ is completely kind of different from what the Bible portrays him as. Not completely different, but it's somewhat different. And the way that he was trying to explain to people that he was telling them that he was the Son of God, yes. And from what oh God, this is so much. And if you don't understand, you're gonna be like, what? You're gonna be confused. But that he came from God. Like, a lot of souls on this earth are stuck in a reincarnation cycle, stuck in a cycle of karma. That's why they're here. If we came here to, I guess, experience something different. We're all parts of God, and our souls are eternal. Then you're gonna want to do something different. You're not gonna just want to be in heaven forever. I mean, that would get boring after a while. I think to myself all the time, it'd be really nice to live in the country, or the woods or something with no neighbors, and that'd just be amazing and peaceful. And I think it would be for a while, but I think after a while I would get bored. I was born in Chicago, and I think that I've gotten so used to living in cities my whole life that would it would be fun and relaxed for a little while, but after a while it would bore the hell out of me. As much as the city drives me crazy and the people and all of that, for some reason it just brings an excitement to me. And I don't know if it's because of my ADHD, but I'm trying to use that as an analogy of what it's like to be an eternal being and live and in peace and live in beauty and live in this wonderful, amazing world. And why you come to the earth? Why would you do that? For an experience. The same reason why you go on a trip or a vacation, or you do something out of your comfort zone, or you get on a scary ride. You go to get on a ride at a roller coaster and it scares the hell out of you, just like life scares the hell out of you, but you do it again. Right? It's scary when you do it, but then afterwards you're like, that wasn't that bad, was it? So you do it again, right? And but here's the like I said, the cycle of karma. So from my understanding, Jesus Christ was sent to the earth to help people because the earth was just really messed up and bad, and people were praying and asking for help. They wanted help from God, and God did help them by sending Jesus Christ to come here to help enlighten people. And that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to enlighten people and let them know. And he did it in code. He couldn't just come out and be like, hey, everybody, you're God, or you're, everybody part of God. He said it in a way that people could try to interpret on their own and make, like you said, the kingdom of God is inside of you. The kingdom of God is inside of you. That means that God is inside of you, Aries, and whoever is listening. We are not separated. We are a part of God. And Dolores Cannon explained life really good. She said if you knew, we come into this world, we have amnesia. We don't remember our past lives. We don't remember why we're here. We don't remember we don't know nothing. Some people do have memories from their past lives because you can tell when people are like maybe prodigies and things like that, or they come out with these personalities, or men come out confused and feel like they might be a woman because maybe in his past life he might have was a woman. So you do have some memory sometimes of it, but you don't remember every single thing that there is to know. And Dolores Cannon put it as, it wouldn't be a test if you knew all of the answers. So in some ways it's kind of like a test. It's something, it's an experiment, I guess. There was this experiment with free will that happened. I don't want to get too much into it because I'm not exactly sure if everything I read was true, and I don't want to go that far right now because I don't want to lose people. I want you to be open-minded right now to this. And for a while, I did stop believing in Jesus, but after I learned about who Jesus, I actually heard that Jesus went to the East at some point in time, and that he learned from Eastern teachers, and he was like doing yoga and things like that. I heard that he was doing psychedelics. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard these things, and that kind of helped him with his enlightenment. But he was already enlightened because he comes from God. He wasn't stuck in the reincarnation cycle, When I say God, I mean the source energy, God at its highest energy in its purest form, because it's just, life is energy. Everything is energy and frequencies. So on this earth, we are in a very low frequency. And the 3D, the third dimension, is very low frequency. And that's why we have matter. But the higher you get in the frequency is just light. And it's just energy. It's just light. And that's what the source is in my mind. This is what I'm thinking. Like I said, what I believe at this moment. And I believe that he came here to help people, and that's what he did. And he made a big impact on the world, but his message kind of got convoluted, and it came to this whole thing. Oh, and that's what hell was. He was trying to tell people that he couldn't be like, hey, you're going to keep coming back to this place. He was trying to explain to them that hell was, but hell was like reincarnation. I mean, the way to listen to what Aries is saying. This is hell in some ways, the life that we have on this earth. In some ways, it can feel like hell. And it can feel like heaven too. But it can also be hell for a lot of people. And if you're stuck in the cycle of reincarnation, like you're not getting anywhere, you're every time, someone does something to you, always seeking vengeance and like, oh no, I got to get even. Or it's just all about, power, self. When it's all about service to self, that's when you're here. And it's all your choice. It's what you want to do. Nobody's forcing you to do it. When you pass away and go on to the next life or go on to the next level, next plane, you feel bad for what you did and you want to make things right. You want to correct what you done wrong. It's not someone making you do it. It's not someone forcing you, like you have to be here. You have to suffer. You have to do this. You have to do that. No one's making you do anything. You're doing it on your own because you want to, because as a soul, your energy is pure. You don't have the same ego that you have as a human that's making you feel like you have to get even or feeling either inferior to people or superior to people. You don't have that complex anymore. You have your soul group in the spirit world, and you have goals just like this life in this world. You have things that you want to do. You have things to work on. I mean, just imagine people talk about heaven and eternity. Imagine how boring how it'd just be to sit there and have harps playing and you just sit there and worship God all day and bow down like, thank you. That would be so boring for eternity. Like eternity is forever. Think about that. No, that is not how it's supposed to be. You have journeys, and you don't just have them on this planet. There's other planets that you've probably lived on, that you've probably had experiences as. There's other things you've been. You might have been different objects. You might have been different things. You might have been a tree before. You might have been, in the beginning of the creation of the planet, you might have been a gas when there was nothing here but gases. You might have been that. You might have been a lot of things. So you might have been a star at some point, which I kind of had an experience before when I did psychedelics. Psychedelics also help you a lot. When I did shrooms, it helped me a lot to really see that a lot of this, and like I don't know if I was just hallucinating, but what made me feel like I wasn't was because I had this experience where I felt like I was God pretty much, and I felt like I was connected to everything. I remember going out and looking at the moon. I was like, I made this. Like I just felt a part of God, and I could feel God talking to me and just something just communicating with me. And I didn't feel like it was just me. I felt like everything was God. So it wasn't like just a schizophrenic, like I'm God and no one else is. It was like everything was a part of me. And I had that experience, and it was weird. It was scary at first because they call it ego death. When you lose your ego, you're like freaking out because you lose your identity and you become pretty much nothing in a way. You lose your identity as a human, as just a being, a body. But you reconnect with yourself in a way. It's kind of hard to explain unless you've been through it. So a part of me did feel like, hey, you're just hallucinating, whatever. But I was looking up this on the internet, just trying to see if anyone else had a similar experience to me. And I found someone on Reddit that had almost the exact same experience to me. In my trip, I was like, oh, this is why I banned shrooms. And this person said the exact same thing when they were tripped. Like, this is why I banned it. And then they felt like they were in a room, except their room was white, like a room by themselves. That was white, and mine was dark by myself, and it was completely just black, and it was me. Like in my mind, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing all these civilizations, just all these different things, and they said the same thing. So their experience was almost exactly like mine, and we talked for a little while, and this person wasn't like religious or anything, and nothing like that. So I was thinking maybe I had this experience because of what was in my mind already and all the spiritual journey and searching. Maybe that's why I had this experience. But this person that wasn't going through the spiritual journey like me, they were just trying to have fun. They had the almost exact same experience as me. So that really made me wonder, is there more to this? And I continue to search, which I still do to this day. It's just, I think lifelong. I don't know if the search ever ends, because you're always finding new information, and you're never going to know every complete thing. I don't even think that our minds can fathom or comprehend everything that there is to know, because our minds are so small. So I don't believe, and they're big at the same time. Not trying to say we're just like dumb, but I don't think our minds could just think, because of the dimension that we're in. We're third dimension. And there's more dimensions than the one that we're in right now. So I hope this isn't like losing anyone. And if anyone else has any experiences similar to mine, please share your experiences with me, because I love talking about this kind of thing. If you have an experience with psychedelics, if you've done DMT, shrooms, or LSD or something, let me know what your experiences were. Let me know about your experience in general, your beliefs. What do you feel about this? Even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, say something. Please, I would like to know. I like discussing this kind of thing. So I said all of that to say that our conception about God is that we always just believe that God is something separate from us. And a really good book to read. Alan Watts, he's good to check out too. He really breaks it down a lot. I read so many good books. It was by what was it called? By Nev or something. I read so many of them. I should go see if I can find it on my bookshelf, because I think it's Novell. Hopefully I still have the book, because I've given so many away. It's Novell Goddard. It's called The Power of Awareness. That's another good book to read. I've gave some of them away, so I don't even have them all anymore. But that's a really small book, so it's really easy and fast to read. I think I read it in a couple of days, but it's very enlightening, and it really helps you to understand life a little bit more than just reading the Bible alone. I think the Bible is a good tool. It has some good stories in it, and it has some good lessons in it. It has some good teachings and things like that. But I also think that there's a lot of things that are political in it, that at the time there was agendas, and whoever was in control were removing things and adding things to it to fit their own agenda, which makes you wonder, why isn't there anything? People say, homosexuality is abomination. Why isn't it an abomination to molest a child or something like that? Makes you wonder about that. So everything is just energy and frequency, and a lot of us are learning about that. There's even a rice experiment. Look it up. Look up the rice experiment on YouTube, where people are talking bad to rice, like, you're horrible and I hate you. They had 3 jars of rice. One is they label good, one label bad, and one they ignore. The one that is good, they say all kind of good things to it every day. And the one that is bad, they say bad things to it, like, I hate you, you're horrible, just whatever. And the ignore one, of course. They obviously ignored it. So over time, I don't know how long this was, like 3 weeks or something, the good rice pretty much looked the same. The bad rice was moldy, and it looked really bad. Now, the ignore rice, it was different for different people. In some cases, the ignore rice looked better than it just kind of was moldy a little bit. But in some cases, the ignored rice looked worse than the one that you would hate, which I found interesting. And you can do this yourself at home. So it's not like just some weird pseudoscience or someone just throwing at you. It's something you can experiment with yourself to show you that energy is real. and that everything is energy and frequencies. And it opened me up to so many things and made me realize things more and understand things more. Why some things are bad for you, like being promiscuous and things like that. It's not just because you're being promiscuous, it's because of the energy attached to it. Why is it wrong to certain music? It's the energy behind the music. It's the movies. It's the energy. And as I went on this spiritual journey longer and longer and more, I can't even watch the same movies. Like, I used to love horror movies so much. As a child, Hellbound Hellraisers was my favorite movie. I love that movie. I loved it. But as an adult, like, I tried to watch, I watched a movie about Jeffrey Dahmer or something. It was so disturbing to me. It just made me feel weird. And I was just like, ugh. Maybe because it was real. Well, not the movie, but, the situation, the story. And I just felt uncomfortable after that. And I tried to watch some other things. And it just wasn't I don't really crave watching them like I used to. And I still listen to like low frequency music. But I also I know now to balance my energy. To bring it back up. To almost like recalibrate my energy, if you will. There's high frequency music on YouTube that you can listen to, and if you listen to it, I promise you, you're gonna feel something inside of you. You're gonna feel it. You can feel the energy just changing. So I hope that I'm making sense of what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the point is why God isn't allowing anything to happen to you. You're doing it yourself. If everybody is a part of God and we're all God, then how is God doing anything to us? Another book you might want to check out is The Egg. I think it's by Andy Weir. I'm going to try to put a link to all of these books so that you can check them out. And it's not a book, actually. It's a short story. So you can just look it up. It's called The Egg. It's a really good story. It kind of explains things a little bit. It kind of gives you an idea, even though I don't exactly agree with that. But I think sometimes that religion does have its place. And I don't think that we're all supposed to be on the same page at the same time and do all the same things. I believe that we're all on a different journey in our souls and in our spiritual, or our just our souls are all on different journeys. We're not all meant to be the same. If that was so, then we wouldn't be individual. It would have just been, God would have never created us. God would have never split off, because we are a part of God, split off these different fragments of himself itself. Even though I say himself, that's just how we refer to it. But he doesn't have a sexuality. He isn't a male or female. He is everything. He is the devil. He is Jesus. He created everything. And he is when I think of it, God, I think of like the yin yang symbol in a way, light and dark aspects to it, but at this highest form, very light energy, high frequency. At the lowest one, you have low energy, low frequency, you have the devil, which is a whole nother story. I've read things about that, but I don't know where I really believe that, because I've heard conflicting stories about it, and I'm not really going to get into the devil right now. I'm just going to focus on what he's saying about God and why God doesn't help people. God does help people. I believe in angels and I believe in things like that. But I believe sometimes people are meant to go through things. And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm probably going to get hate from people like, oh, how could you say that? Anyone deserves to have something bad happen to them. But what do you think? I would like to know. What makes more sense to you? Someone goes and hurts people, like a Hitler type of person. You want to send them to hell for damnation for eternity, or make them go through that same experience? Let them know what it's like so that they can see. And I'm all about reforming, and that's what energy is. It transforms. It cannot be destroyed. So it makes more sense to me. Reincarnation makes more sense to me than someone just going to hell. Can people experience hell like can experience when they pass away? Yes, they can, because your mind is going to believe whatever you want it to believe. Your mind is very powerful, mind you, no pun intended. It is a very powerful thing, but the good thing is nothing lasts forever, and I guess the bad thing is everything lasts forever, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, I have my own beliefs. Like I'm saying, none of this is like set in stone, and none of it is like, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just going by this journey I've been on, like this strong spiritual journey that I went on the past. I did it for like 5 years straight, and this past couple of years I've kind of been not as much into it, but from like 2015 to 2020, I was just like really spiritual and just trying really hard to do everything in my power to raise my frequencies and raise my vibrations and do all of that. But I've kind of fell off from that. But it's not that I don't believe it anymore. It's just that I'm just going through, I guess what some people would say is the dark night of the soul or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to just keep blabbering. I just wanted to get my point out, is that, yeah, you do have free will, and that's a good thing, right? Do you want someone to control you and be a puppet and tell you what to do and how to move and this and that? Free will is a great thing to have. And this is something that comes along with it. And sometimes when you see people, you don't know why people are experiencing things. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. You know, just like they say, we don't battle against flesh and blood. You know, there's principalities and spirits and all of it. There's all kind of things going on around us, and things that we can't see, and things behind the scenes, and all kinds of things like that. So if you I hope this helps someone with if they're questioning anything, or if they are looking for some answers. I hope that this helps to provide answers, or put you on your own search, because don't listen to me. Do your own research. And this is what even the law of one says. It says, like, don't listen to me. Hey, trust yourself, believe in what you believe in, believe in your heart. And I don't think that religion is bad. I just think that I think it's helpful to a lot of people, because it will help some people in a way that some people probably, I guess, need it in some ways. But I don't think that. I think sometimes it can be counterintuitive, I guess, in some ways, because I don't know, people almost like they're ignoring the things that Jesus told. He said, don't judge. The reason why he says don't judge, because we are connected. To when you're judging other people, you're judging yourself. Anything you're doing to other people, you are doing to yourself in a way. You know, it's like if you read the Bible, the sheep and the goat story. He said, whatever you done to the least of my brethren, you done unto me. So, and then one more way I want to explain the journey of life before I wrap this up and end this. There is a song or story, and it's also a song called The Prodigal Son, which is a really amazing song, and it's by Keith Green. I recommend you look it up if you're into religion and religious music and you love piano. He's an amazing composer. Look it up. It's a great song. And in this song, he tells a story, or in the story, he talks about just living with his father, and being just kind of doing the same thing every day, and just wanting to experience something different. He's just bored. He's bored with his life. He has everything he needs. He's not wanting for anything, but he just wants to experience something more than just being, on this farm where he was living. So he leaves home, and he tells his father, hey, I'm leaving. I want to go experience things. I want to go by myself. I'm leaving. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And his father says, okay, just go, and, I love you. I'll always be here for you, pretty much. And just go experience life. And he goes and he experiences life, and he sees all this bad stuff happens to him. He's like rejected. I'm going by the song, not the Bible story. He experienced all this bad rejection, all this horrible stuff. Just like kind of when we come to this earth, we experience all this pain and suffering and all of these things. And then he realizes, damn, I had it really good when I was with my father. He starts to realize that, dang, man, I want to go back home. And so he goes back home, and his father welcomes him with open arms. He's like, bring the best robe, put it on my son. And he's just celebrating. He like, let's throw a party. My son is back. He's back home. And that is what it's like when we return back home. This is a journey. And it is, I don't want to say it's not real, but it's so short. We don't even think about it. The life is a vapor, Even if you live a long life, it's still short compared to how old the earth is. When you think about it in that way, it's extremely short. So it's just like this short trip that you take and you experience these things, and sometimes you can get stuck, like I said, on the cycle of karma, and because of your decisions and choices that you make. And sometimes you don't. You go to the next level. You go to the next. It's almost like playing a game or something. And some people do say that this life is a game, right? That this is just a game. You know, some people say it's a play, and we're all actors in a play. However you want to look at it. That's what it kind of is. Well, I believe it is. And I believe sometimes that this is another thing I heard, that we kind of have experiences for the source. We're having these experiences to help God to expand and just have more knowledge. And we're all like, just doing these different things. And there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. I hate how bad my memory is. We're talking about the experiences for him, and I completely just forgot what I was going to say. I don't remember, but it was something, I guess, just about the oh, it was so close. Dang it. Oh, I wanted to talk about one time when I did LSD, the experience I had. And I think I'm gonna just end it on this, because I think I said all that I had to say. I remember one time I did LSD, and I was like, I was getting, which I haven't done it a whole bunch of times. Don't want you to think I'm like some junkie or something, but I experimented with like a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. And it's not something that you want to keep doing all the time. It's not like addicting, like, oh my God, I gotta get some milk. No, for me it wasn't. Maybe it is for some people, but I don't want to do that all the time. I don't want to keep having those weird trips, But I did, I was like, remember, like, trying to feel high. And then as I was high, I remembered to myself why I was here on the earth. I was like, oh, I'm here so I wouldn't be high, because I'm here to be a person, to have an experience, to have a body, to be something, and not just be a spirit, or to be just nothing. To be like, not saying you're nothing when you're a spirit, but you're a light. I didn't want to just be a light. I wanted to be a person. I wanted to experience things. And even though life may be like crap sometimes, we have so many things that we experience here that are amazing. Like music and art and movies and love and sex and drink, whatever. And hugging, and just even the pain sometimes can be beautiful. And I know that sounds weird, but it's just, I guess it takes, going through a lot to actually just feel this way. And I don't feel this way every day. Don't get me wrong. There's some day where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to check out, because it feels too much being here. It feels stressful as hell. And I got to keep reminding myself. And I feel like I may have taken my life in another lifetime, because that's what I've tried to do. I wanted to do when I was younger. But then I realized if I did that, I'm going to probably have to come back here and do this experience all over again. That there is no escaping from it. That I have to get through this. I have to keep journey on. So that's what I'm doing. And hopefully I make it through this. Pray for me, y'all. No. Yeah, but so yeah, that's just how I think about it. I think that God is everything. God is omnipotent. God is omnipresent. God is not outside of you, Aries. You might not be able to feel the high frequency energy spirit of God inside of you if you're living a very low frequency lifestyle, and I guess some people say your third eye is closed. But once you open it up a little bit more, you will start feeling different about things, and it won't completely just heal you or change your life, because at the end of the day, you're still a human, you're still here. But it would just change your perspective in some ways. And I hope that he can realize this, But it's his life. It's his journey. He do what he want to do. You do what you want to do. If you believe in religion, that's you. Do you? I'm not telling you what to believe in. I'm not telling you to believe in what I believe in. I'm just telling you what I believe in, and I just hope that it helps someone that might be struggling with the same questions that I had many years ago, and the same depression that I had many years ago, just being lost and not feeling like there was any purpose to anything, like it was just lost and I didn't belong here. But there's a lot more to this, and I'm not going to go into that right now. I will save that for another time, but I hope that this was if not educational, entertaining for someone. Maybe if you think it's all a bunch of BS, hopefully I made somebody laugh. So if I did that, then I did something right. So thank you so much for making it this far. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you so much. Please like this video if you found it to be helpful, and share it if you think it could help someone else and has some information on there that could be helpful to someone else on their journey. And please subscribe to my channel if you like this content, because I'll try to do more things like this and share some more personal stories about myself, because I don't always like talking about just celebrities all the time. That's not even why I make this channel. I actually started out making a singing, and then I just started talking about like Juice WRLD or something, and it just kind of took off from there. But I just want to use this platform to be able to talk about different things, because I don't want to just talk about TV shows all the time. I don't even watch TV. And I don't want to talk about the hot topics all the time, because I just don't care about that all the time. So I just talk about whatever I feel like talking about. If I see something, if I watch a video and I want to respond to it, I'm going to respond to it. I don't really have a concrete content that I create every day. It's just kind of all over the place, I guess, like my personality. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you come back again in the future.